Mobile phones were banned from New South Wales high school classrooms by early October. That's following an election promise by the Premier, Chris Minns. The new Labor government will start consulting with schools today about how to introduce the new rules. But it has backed away from introducing reception jamming technology on campuses. I spoke to New South Wales Deputy Premier Prue Car a short time ago about why the ban is needed and just how it will work.
Well, how it's going to work is there'll be a blanket ban across all schools in New South Wales. As you say, day 1, term 4, that's the 9th of October this year. But many people will know that many high schools already do this. So the evidence from the schools that already do it actually show that there's many ways of doing this. We're going to be consulting with schools, principals and teachers about how it works, and parents in their own communities, how it's best to work in different schools. It could be pouches, it could be lockers. We're at Condell Park High School in Sydney's West today, where they put them in little sleeves. It's going to work differently for different schools, but it will be across the state blanket ban from the 9th of October.
All right, and any particular exemptions that, and you say some schools do this already, have you learnt any sort of required exemptions to this sort of ban?
Yeah, sure. There are a lot of schools that already do this, and this will obviously be part of the consultation where there are medical reasons for an exemption, like watches that are blood glucose monitoring, ensuring that kids are safe, obviously, and we'll have to work with principals on that. But really the aim of this policy of the ban, which was a really key election commitment for us last Saturday's election, is just to make sure that our kids in our classrooms are actually concentrating on what the teacher is teaching them. The teacher can teach without the distraction of kids on the mobile phone, and then at recess and lunch we don't see kids sitting down on the concrete or on the grass with their heads in their iPhones playing games or on social media. We want them interacting with one another.
And in terms of how sort of strictly it's applied, I guess, what about if a kid's being bullied? They might want to go and disappear into their phone, maybe talking to some friends online in the corner of the playground. If a teacher sees that, do they have to still go over and say, sorry, it's a total phone ban?
Yeah, well, obviously what we will be doing is we'll be a government that will be listening to teachers when it comes to what's happening in schools, about what is needed to support children who might be going through some tough times. We made a commitment just before the election to invest in more school counsellors. We'll be making sure that we put more of those experts in schools to help kids who are struggling, be it with bullying or other sort of mental health challenges. But we know that the evidence does stack up, that a ban on mobile phones in schools, both in classrooms and in the playground, will be to the benefit of kids and do go some way into arresting the decline in education outcomes, which was a big issue that voters took to last Saturday's election.
And any scope to put this into non-government schools?
Well, a lot of non-government schools do this. Lots and lots of non-government high schools do this, but of course the government can do it in government schools, and we'll be making sure that week 1, day 1 of term 4, that this is rolled out across government schools.
So you can't do it in non-government schools? Is that the situation?
Well, it's up to non-government schools to do it within their own schools. We would obviously encourage that, and the biggest signal we can send is by banning it in government schools, in public high schools across the state. So where we can actually make sure that there's a ban in place in public schools, in government schools, we're doing that. We took it to the election, and now we're coming good on that commitment.
And finally, Minister, teachers' pay is another area of commitment when it comes to the election. What can they look forward to? Is this sort of keeping pace with inflation or something more radical to permanently attract better teachers?
Well, what teachers can certainly look forward to now, there's been a change of government in New South Wales, is a government that doesn't deny that there's a chronic teacher shortage, and a government that is willing to negotiate on both pay and conditions. Not only scrapping the wages cap and looking at an increase in pay, but also looking at the crippling burden of workload that's seeing thousands of them leave every year, more than we've ever seen before. So many of the teachers I've spoken to since last Saturday are very much looking forward to that, to a fairer system where they can actually make a case for an increase in pay and a change in conditions. And we really can't wait to get those negotiations started so that teachers can actually be valued in our public education system to deliver what we need them to deliver, and that is life-changing education for our children.
Minister, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Tom.